Come on, Annie. Let's go to the movies.
This is the Cinereelists episode 564. My name is Kyle.
My name is James.
And my name is Zach.
And we're here to talk about movies, movie lists, and movie obsession for the next hour or so. Insert witty intro here.
Because you don't have one?
Because I don't have one.
Okay.
So, James, you just in post, go ahead and put some banter in there. It'll sound wonderful. We'll say, hey, how's
Sure.
it going? We'll talk about a topic of some sort.
Okay. I'll do all those things. Why not?
Thanks, James.
Zach,
Sure.
you just give us some sound bites really quick.
Absolutely. You know, I think that this is the most terrible opinion you've ever expressed. It's not something I can get behind. James, I think, agrees with me. We're officially asking you to take a pause from the show.
Here's
I have
sound,
a lot of opinions, so the fact that this is the most terrible one is
Here's a
pretty-
sound clip I've
pretty
had on
fun.
my board and have not played yet. I've had this on my board for like a year. You ready? Did you guys hear that?
no.
No.
Zoom blocked it out.
You can't hear that.
That
It's a turkey gobbling. Why would I play
Oh.
a turkey gobbling, Kyle?
because of Thanksgiving
Sure.
happening once a year.
No, there's something very personal to you that has to do with turkeys. Story
Is
you
this
told once on the podcast.
Oh, I remember this story. Yeah, this is about the turkey in my garage and some random woman bothering me about turkeys on my property.
Yep. And Kyle
I
once
remember
told a story about how there were turkeys in his garage, and I added a sound to the soundboard of a turkey. Haven't had an opportunity to play it. Now I have.
Wait, if I remember correctly, that story was a turkey had wandered into his garage and
Uh-huh.
a
Yes.
neighbor let him know, and he was upset with the neighbor.
He
for
was
bothering
mad
him.
at the neighbor for telling him there were turkeys in his
Yeah.
garage.
She said, "There's a turkey in your garage," and you said, "Okay."
And then she said, "Does this normally happen?"
And you got upset because she was grilling you over this, or what was
No,
the
it
problem?
just seemed like the most inane conversation to have with a stranger.
She was trying to help you out.
What am I going to do? It's a turkey in the garage. It's just going to do its thing and leave. I'm going to chase it. Look, they got
Maybe you want to
claws.
pull up a chair and watch it. Free zoo.
Anyway.
Zach, do you remember the turkeys in our neighborhood growing up?
Of course.
They were vicious.
They were bad. I had a paper route. I had to go through them every day.
They would chase you. I believe James played the turkey sound effects. We couldn't hear it, but I was trying to tee him up for that. So if you did, James, awesome job.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I tried.
I can't wait to gobble into this podcast. Again,
I know.
nothing for James.
This movie may be a real turkey.
All right.
All right.
Welcome to episode 564. We appreciate you being here and listening to us talk about Babylon, the new film
This
from director.
episode, maybe
What?
a real turkey.
The new film from Damien Chazelle. We're going to talk spoiler free on this episode and spoiler filled reviews of Babylon. So get ready for that. We're also going to go over some listener email that we recently received. We also need to remind you that there's a video version of this podcast on YouTube. Go to YouTube, search Cinereelists, find us there and subscribe. You could also support us on our Patreon at patreon.com/Cinereelists. You could leave us an Apple Podcast review. We'd appreciate that. Just open up your Apple Podcast app on your iPhone, go to the show page, scroll all the way down, and click leave a review. 5 stars only. All right. Or, as we mentioned, you could send us an email, heyguys at cinereelist.com, REEL with an S on the end. Send us a comment, a question, a list suggestion, any of those kinds of things. Right now, we're really looking for top 20 lists of people's favorite 2023 films. So if you have a list, maybe it's a top 10. It doesn't necessarily have to be a top 20, but at least a top 10 of your favorite films from the last year. Fire it off to us. heyguys at cinereelist.com. We do a listener aggregate top list at the end of the year, and the more, the better. All right. You
James,
guys,
I know you meant to say top list of 2022, not 2023.
I
But if
did.
someone has a top 10 of 2023 already, I would be very impressed.
Sure.
I want to see that list. Like 1 week into 2023, what are your top 10 movies of the year so far?
I agree.
No.
Let's talk Babylon. All right. You guys
Okay.
ready?
Yeah.
There's a lot to talk about, and we're going to get into it right after this clip.
Bellissimo, bellissimo. Next time, try softer, okay? But why, my darling Pierre? Why? Well, hey, move that microphone 45 degrees, okay? That one near first, okay? A ver, no. Hey, amigo, it's not Manuel, it's Manny. Manny Torres, okay? Yeah. Okay, vamos, ya, vamos. Let's roll, people. Let's go. Take 2.
That was Babylon, a 2022 American epic period comedy drama, written and directed by Damien Chazelle, starring Brad Pitt, Margot Robbie, Diego Calva, Gene Smart, Jovan Adepo, and Lee Jun Lee. The official IMDb plot synopsis for Babylon is a tale of outsized ambition and outrageous excess. It traces the rise and fall of multiple characters during an era of unbridled decadence and depravity in early Hollywood. That was Babylon. What did you guys think of the movie? Actually, before we get into it, without spoilers, what's the best scene in this movie? Kyle?
I think for me, it might be the scene where they're filming with sound for the first time.
Zach?
For me, it's when they are first on a movie set.
For me, it's the sound scene. I thought we would be 3 for 3. But I was wrong.
Oh, yeah. No, I forgot about that scene. That scene.
It is
Right,
that
I think
scene.
that, yeah.
Okay.
Zach, you probably saw this the most recent of the three of us, correct?
Yeah, I saw it yesterday.
Okay. Do you want to kick us off here, and then we could jump in?
Oh, sure. Okay, so Damien Chazelle made a movie. And I like his movies a lot. He makes great movies. And so I was surprised to find out that he can also make really bad movies.
All right.
I found this movie to be a failure. A big dud. And I have a lot of issues with it. But yeah, that's my basic take. But I want to hear your guys' basic takes.
So, Damien Chazelle, I agree with you. He's one of my favorite working young directors. Whiplash, top 100 movie. First Man I like a lot. La La Land, I don't think I like as much as you guys do, but I definitely appreciate the artistry behind that movie. I was looking forward to this movie. Saw the trailer. The trailer's crazy. I wanted to see what was Damien Chazelle going to do with $70 million in 3 hours of 1920s depravity, as put. And I'm really mixed on this movie. There's a lot I like about it. Like we talked about, our favorite scene. That party at the very beginning is insane, and I've never seen anything on screen like that, and I was totally on board for that. But then there's some things going on, especially towards the end, which I was just in the theater thinking, like, what are we doing right now? I mean, the end is what really lost me on this movie. And there's some other things along the way I didn't like. But I would definitely say this movie is strong for me in its first half. And then it's that second half that things really started to go downhill.
And by the
James?
end, you're talking about the montage.
Yeah, I'm talking about like everything in the last 15 minutes of that movie.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't disagree with either of you, which is odd because it sounds like Zach really disliked this, and I think Kyle was okay with it.
Kyle is mixed on it.
Mixed.
I don't know if I don't think okay is the right word.
Okay, less than okay.
I don't know if I could recommend this movie.
Okay.
I'd only recommend it because like I haven't seen anything like it in a long time.
Fair enough. I like messy movies, and this is a messy movie. Like it kind of reminds me of Southland Tales in a way. It's just kind of like it's hard to fully understand who this was made for and what he was trying to do with it. I mean, I think I understand certain things that I've heard him talk about in interviews where I'm like, okay, I could see that, but I'm not sure it would actually translate to people who are coming to it cold. And so I'm not, I like that it was a big swing and occasionally it could make contact with the ball, not to use sports metaphors, but sometimes it was a complete whiff. And not only that, it was a 3 hour and 9 minutes with a bunch of whiffs. And it was kind of brutal at times where I was just like, I don't know what we're doing here. It just is it's all over the place and relentless. Like the movie is edited.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
There's one point I looked at my watch and an hour and a half had passed, and I was like, I'm not halfway through the movie yet. And I really thought that we were almost at the finish line.
Yeah. It's pretty brutal. And there's definitely things that can go. The entire opening sequence going up the mountain, as weird and as interesting as that is while you're watching it, in retrospect, doesn't have to be there.
It sets the tone for the movie right away, though. That elephant.
It's almost more wacky than anything else in the movie. So I don't know if he's going as big as he possibly can right up front so that the rest feels like a slow taming. I don't know. I don't think it has to be there. I think there's multiple things in this 3 hour mess that could go. And when I say mess, it's kind of a term of endearment because I like messy movies. And so I'm conflicted, I guess, is the bottom line.
There are two characters I think could have been completely cut. Because it seems like their only purpose in that movie was to point out, like, boy, wasn't Hollywood racist? And that's as far as that storyline goes for both those characters.
Sure.
And I would have been interested to see a movie about either of those characters that actually went a little bit more in depth into their experience and what it was like to be a non-white person making movies during that era. But in this case, it was just like, yep, you don't get a lot of opportunities. Kind of racist. Move on to other people.
Yeah. I mean, alternatively, like the presentation of old Hollywood and a lot of the stuff when they were moving from silent pictures to sound, I found interesting. And I liked the presentation of like showing us what the production process was back then and like the style of acting and how they would just shoot take after take, like back in the silent era, because they were just kind of miming crap. They made up the dialogue later type of stuff. And I found all that interesting. I like from like a Singing in the Rain kind of perspective, which is telling a similar story broadly of that Hollywood transition from silent to sound. I find this far more interesting than Singing in the Rain. I know people love Singing in the Rain and it's a musical classic, but I feel like I'm not saying this is a better version of that story. It's just a more interesting one to me. So I liked all that.
This movie,
but the other thing that bothered me was like Brad Pitt and Margot Robbie. I like them. They're movie stars. They're great. I've seen certain movies with each of them in it that feels great. I kind of felt like I was watching Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And I was like, can't we, like the third main character they have is like a nobody. And then whenever it would go from him to those other two people who are very well known, I was kind of like, why are we looking at these people? Why these people? especially Margot Robbie. Like she's basically doing her DC character in this movie. Like just kind of the manic, high-pitched weirdo outsider.
I liked her character, or I should say I liked her performance. I don't know if I liked everything that she was given to do as a character,
Mm-hmm.
but I enjoyed having her on screen. I liked Diego Calva.
Mm-hmm.
I thought Brad Pitt was fine, especially after seeing him in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood last year, which I think he's incredible in. In this movie, he's like, I don't know, he's just kind of playing like his cavalier persona without much more to it than that.
Yeah, I didn't understand. I mean, I understand from a dollars and cents why you need a Margot Robbie and a Brad Pitt in a $70 million movie that nobody wants to see. I get it. But it just felt like it was distracting to me. Anything else to add, Zach?
Well, I have a couple questions about it, but
Sure.
I will say overall, this felt to me like Damien Chazelle wanted to make a Coen Brothers movie and shoot it like a Baz Luhrmann movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's good.
And I don't think he shot it like a Baz Luhrmann movie, and he tried for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think he made a Coen Brothers movie,
Mm-hmm.
although he's probably more successful at that. Has anyone looked into like the history? Like, is every story in this like a true rumor about something that actually happened, or is it all just made up? Like, that
So,
might give it some purpose, at least, if every anecdote is a real story.
this movie, Damien Chazelle said that he did his research, whatever that means. But
Okay.
I've also heard people say, like, you know, cocaine was not the drug of choice in 1920s Hollywood. It was other things.
Mm-hmm.
And I wonder how much of this movie is influenced by that book, Hollywood Babylon, which was like sordid tales of this era, which turned out that most of it was made up, at least anyway. So I don't know. To me, this feels like I don't want to say an idealized, but a fictional version of 1920s Hollywood, where it just, these didn't feel like characters from 100 years ago, like people from 100 years ago. These felt like
Sure.
they felt like people from now playing 100 years ago. At one point, Margot Robbie says, like, I'm out of here, B words. She says the actual B word. I'm like, were people calling each other B words in 100 years ago? I don't think that's the case at all.
There's a couple moments where the dialogue I don't think is very period specific, and I think I think it was a choice. I don't think it was an accident. I think he's trying to kind of like make some kind of like alternate version of history. You know what I mean? That's inspired by certain things, but isn't beholden to it. And it's admirable, but I'm not sure it worked.
I think so much of this movie is just, I guess, trying its hardest to like disgust you, right? It's like trying to like just push your nose into like everything that it can to like get you to want to turn away from this film.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess, you know, it's so extreme that it's hard to imagine that real decadent Hollywood was this bad. And so it fails a little bit on that account, because I'm like, well, it probably wasn't this bad, you know?
Right.
And then I really think, I mean, Damien Chazelle can make La La Land. Why did he not make a movie in decadent Hollywood where our central character is like really, you know, naive and optimistic, and maybe it's decadent around him, but he is like, you know, always hopeful and wishing, and he can even like, you know, fall into it at the end or something. But like that would have been a better movie than this. Whereas like the main people we follow, they're all complicit. They're all, you know, I don't know.
But yeah, Margot Robbie is partying before she's a star.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Right. So she's already in that lifestyle. It doesn't eat her up or anything like that.
Right.
Yeah, I've heard a couple of interviews with Damien Chazelle where he's talking about the the three main not the assistant guy who works his way up, but the trumpet player, the starlet, and the seasoned veteran. Sure. And those three are based on real people loosely in concept. Specific story points, no. But there was like a woman who got very popular right before silent movies transitioned to sound. Then they made fun of her voice. Once sound was there, everybody realized she couldn't really act. And then that was the end of her career.
Her name was Clara Bow.
Right. Yeah. And then I forget who the Brad Pitt character is based on, but there's another guy that was like kind of the guy in Hollywood.
It's not Errol Flynn, another one of those guys, like Rudolph or something. I can't think of the guy's name right now.
Yeah.
Rudolph the Red-Nosed
Valentino or something.
Whenever the movie was focusing on production and that transition, I was into it. It's just when they got into like the cocaine fueled party stuff and the elephant stuff and all this other exterior stuff.
The snake.
Right. It just, it felt very like extra to what is actually enjoyable about the movie.
So there were people in my theater who walked out during the snake scene.
Oh, really?
And actually, it wasn't during the height of the snake scene. It was kind of like they're in the desert leading up to the snake scene.
Mm-hmm.
And I think these people were just kind of like, I know where this is going, and I'm out. And they left the theater, and I did not see them come back. So, did anyone leave your theaters?
I got the sense that he thought that a full crowded theater would just be laughing and reeling like they're watching Borat for the first time.
Yeah.
You know, like that it's just like, this is just going to get such a visceral reaction constantly from a huge raucous crowd. And that was not the experience in my theater.
Did you guys have the introduction from Margot Robbie at the beginning? Yeah. Where she said, like, thank you for seeing this movie in the full theater as it's intended. And I'm looking around, and there are 8 people in this theater with me.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe like, only play that on the opening weekend.
Right. What, the opening weekend where I made $3.5 million? I don't think those were full theaters either.
I'm just saying, that's your best shot at that statement.
I didn't mind the first cocaine-fueled party. Like, that opening party that's like 30 minutes long is kind of your preamble to the movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's trying to disgust you, and there's a lot going on. But like filmmaking wise, I thought it was very interesting what he's doing with the camera, and I was totally on board. By the time we got to like the Tobey Maguire party and everything that followed there, that's what really set me down that path of I'm not on board in this movie anymore, and it never recovered.
I like the Tobey Maguire stuff until they went downstairs. Then I was like, we're back to what are we watching?
Right, exactly. But I didn't mind Tobey Maguire. It's when they went to that, I don't even know what that was.
Right.
That place. That's when it was losing me.
I mean, that's kind of how I feel with the opening, with the elephant in the opening. I was just kind of like, what are we watching? What is the point of this? I think over the course of the film, there is like a bigger thesis about like the glitz and glamour of Hollywood and what really goes on behind the scenes, how dirty the job really is, how like all this stuff happens. And then what you end up with is like what's on film. That's what people remember, when really it's like a very messy process. I think that's his bigger thesis here. I'm just not sure that's what's communicated well.
Well, if that's what he meant the subtext to be, that's just the text of the film. Like there was no subtlety at all.
Right.
Yeah.
In anything.
And the only reason I say that is because of the things that come towards the end. You know what I mean?
Which was such a tonal shift. It was so sappy at the end.
It worked for me. But
okay, I'm glad I
completely understand you saying that, because I don't disagree. And maybe I'm sappy, and that's fine. But I was like, I wish this feels like the love letter that he was trying to say the entire time, but he was clouding it with all this other crap that I was just like, why is this so messy? It feels like you could make this movie not messy. and not 3 hours long in the process, and still get across what he was trying to say.
Yeah, the last 15 minutes of this movie, I stood up and stood in the like entrance aisle because I was just tired of sitting.
You're just
And
wanted. You were
watching
ready
this
to
movie.
leave.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I was not into it.
Yeah. Anything else for
But it kept me
Babylon?
awake.
It kept you awake. It's,
It kept me awake.
before we go
No
into
bathroom breaks.
spoilers,
Made it the whole way through.
before we talk spoilers, the other thing is just it's 3 hours of relentlessness. Like the pacing of this movie is just like boom, 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 and it goes on and on and on. And even though there are scenes with long takes, even the long takes felt frenetic. And it was kind of, it's not often that I walk out of a movie and I kind of feel like my brain's been beat up. And that's how this movie made me feel. Maybe that's the length combined with that pace, but it just kind of felt unnecessary in general. Although I found it interesting. Even if it was unnecessary. Like the decision is interesting to me, not the end result. The decision to do that is just kind of baffling to me and interesting. I'm curious to hear Damien Chazelle talk about this movie 10 years from now.
Like, what was he thinking?
Like, if that will be his opinion of it, like, what was I thinking? Or like, if he has some kind of frame of reference for why maybe some people, this will be their least favorite Damien Chazelle thing. Or if he just decides this is the direction he's going and keeps making more of, I think, what he considers a challenging film. And it is.
I appreciate the big swing.
Mhm.
Because I think when you have a big swing, you get more interesting movies. You also get something like this.
Mhm.
Right? To make your sports analogy, Mark McGuire swung at everything, had a ton of home runs, also had a ton of strikeouts.
Sure.
Right.
And he had a pretty good track record before this. Like 3 movies.
McGuire or Giselle?
Giselle.
Okay.
Yeah, this really ruined McGuire's record.
No, I mean,
Babylon.
he had 3 movies, 2 that I consider great movies, and one that's totally watchable and good. I would say good. First Man is good. But Whiplash and La La Land, that's the other thing. The repeating of music from La La Land bothered me.
Yeah.
I'm probably too close to La La Land, but I was just like, why are we playing with La La Land themes in the background of this movie? I mean, they're like remixed, but it's the basic melody of certain songs from La La Land in this.
I was weirded out. So I understand a reference in the movie to Singing in the Rain.
Mm-hmm.
But then they kept doing it. And I was like, why are we making this like a plot element? That seems totally unnecessary. Like, make a little reference to it. That's great. But if we keep returning to it, what are we doing here? Is this a remake?
Yeah.
You
I
snuck
really
a remake on me?
I really want to talk about Singing in the Rain during the spoiler section.
Okay.
I have thoughts.
Okay.
I also lost count of the number of times that he either zoomed in or zoomed out of a trumpet bell during musical interludes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, it's in the trailer and then it happens. To me, it felt like a half a dozen times. I'm like, okay, like you have nothing else. Like, hey, zooming out of a trumpet is not the most original shot in the world, and that's fine. But you can find other ways to film music besides a zoom.
Sure.
Yeah. Remind me to talk about the trumpeter in spoilers.
Okay. I think we'll have a lot to discuss in spoilers.
Definitely. Yeah. Anything else spoiler free, or should we move on? Let's move on.
Let's rank some movies.
We're not going to rank some movies.
Oh, okay. My bad. That's how we rank movies.
We're going to rank this movie against itself by giving it a star rating. Letterboxd style. 5 stars. I'm going to give it a 3.5.
Which hour? The third hour? The second hour?
I think it'll probably go down over time, but it might go up because it's so messy that I might have to rewatch this over and over and over again over the next 20 years of my life just to try to understand what's going on in it. I mean, that's the pattern with certain movies with me, and I kind of feel like this might turn into that. And I'm not saying it's good. I'm saying it's 3.5 worth of interesting to me.
Okay, sure.
I'm so mixed on this movie. I just have to go right in the middle, 2.5.
Well, that's the one rating that this movie couldn't be, is a 2.5.
If you forced me off a 2.5, then I would go 2.
Okay. I'm going 1.5.
1.5. Okay.
Yeah.
Got lots of halves, a 1.5, a 2.5, and a 3.5 for Babylon. If you are watching on YouTube right now and you want to hear spoiler talk for Babylon, click the link in the description and go directly to the spoiler discussion. If you are listening on a podcast app, just keep listening through the end of the podcast and we'll be back with spoiler talk after the music. Let's talk listener email. Listeners sometimes send us email. When they do, we talk about it on the podcast and discuss it openly. We're maybe the most transparent podcast on the internet, I would say.
Yeah.
For better or for worse. We got a few emails here to discuss. The first one is going to be brought to us by Zach.
Yeah. Okay. This one is from Joshua, and the subject is I beg you. Hey guys, I am a longtime listener who loves the show. As anyone who listens to the Cinereelists can attest, the leisurely chats that meander into each episode's focus points is part of the charm. Cinereelists is one of the few podcasts I can fit into my busy schedule, and it's almost always on my 10 to 15 minute commute to and from work. With this in mind, I present the following facts for you to consider. I got into my car early in the morning, pulled up the Cinereelists podcast, and went to work. I came back home. I went back to work the next day. I came back home. I pulled into my driveway and had still not reached the point in the episode when the featured movie was being discussed because you were all deep in argument over the optimum arrangement of 4 words, top 10, last 10. He got those backwards, I think. Have mercy on your listeners and stop taking Zach seriously when he's obviously just being a contrarian to derail you guys for a half hour. Otherwise, keep it up. I'll keep listening either way. Sincerely, Joshua.
Okay, I think Zach needs to defend himself because he's been attacked here by Joshua for being a contrarian. How do you reply to that, Zach? Are you just a contrarian or are you genuinely interested in debate?
I hope
I'm not.
Zach says, no, I'm not a contrarian.
No, I'm not sure I understand his email. I don't exactly know what he's getting at there.
I know what he's getting at there. I'm not sure I understand whether he likes us bantering for half an hour or whether he doesn't. I can't fully tell which direction.
I'm gonna guess by the fact we should definitely banter about this email for a while because I think we need to get down to the meat of it. Yeah.
How many car trips for Josh can we make this email?
With the subject line, I beg you, with him listing all the trips he had to make before he got to the meat of the episode, and with him calling out Zach for being the contrarian that he is, I believe Josh is at the point of exasperation.
I mean, it's not that hard. You just hit fast forward every 30 seconds until you hear a movie clip. Then you listen. We're talking about the movie next, guaranteed.
See,
Thank you,
because
James,
of that
for mansplaining how he could avoid all that.
No, it's
Just hit
because of
fast
that.
forward, guys.
I think the issue then, because of what James said, is he probably just wants me to, I guess, get to my argument quicker, right? Like he's clearly interested in what I have to say. He just wants me to get there quicker. And I think his problem is with you guys for, I guess, lengthening out the time before you just accept what I've told you.
Zach, he says in the email, stop taking Zach seriously when he's obviously just being a contrarian. He's not saying, Zach, get your point faster. He's saying, Zach, stop making your points, and Kyle and James, stop feeding his
contrarian
tendencies.
Yeah.
But when you're talking about someone who's like trying to like derail people, he's the one that put in parentheses top 10, last 10.
Yeah.
Like, why open that can of worms? I don't understand.
Just to give Josh some background, I've known Zach for 30 odd years, and he's always been like this. This is just genuine Zach right here.
Genuine Zach. I'm just asking the questions that I think our listeners are asking.
You're not going to answer the questions that Josh asks. You're going to answer the questions that you think they should be asking.
Yeah, no, I do think that probably we could save some of this stuff for after the featured episode for people that actually want to listen to it.
I do like the detail we got here from, we're always asking for listener input. And if anybody else wants to send us their travel schedule to and from work, how long it takes, et cetera,
GPS coordinates.
Sure. That's great.
Well,
great content.
I mean, did you guys notice the humble brag of like, oh, I live only 10 minutes from work? It's like, do I really feel sorry for a guy that like has a short commute? I mean, yeah.
And Zach,
I
how long
understand
is
I
your
work from
commute to
home.
work?
Well, yeah, I understand that I work from home.
Okay. Oh, you understand that. It dawned on you that you work from home.
I just think it might be simpler rather than to change, the vibe of the show. Perhaps get a new job or move further away.
So I think the conclusion here is Zach never change. James and Kyle remain naive, and Josh should move farther away from his work or get a new job so he can enjoy a full conversation in one sitting.
Well, I will say that he is not asking me to do anything different. He's asking you to do something different.
That's true.
Because he has lost faith in you, in your ability to change. So he
I
knows
don't read that in this email.
The men in the room, as James and I being the elder statesmen here of Cinereelists, and
I am the youngest one on the show.
You are the youngest one on the show. Yes.
Absolutely.
So
yes, I am the youngest. Both
he
of
just
you are
knows
older.
that you'll never quite catch up to us, and we must be the adults in the room.
That's clearly what he's saying. I agree.
Yeah. Yep.
I like it ends it sincerely, Joshua. Well, Joshua, I'm going to take this into consideration, and I will try to not let them take me seriously when I'm obviously being a contrarian to derail them for a half hour.
I would like you to have like a little light above your head. This is Flash's contrarian time. Don't listen to me. And we'll be like, okay, Zach.
This is going to be great when we get to Troy Carruthers' email.
We're not there yet.
Because he addresses this exact argument. Yeah.
Nice.
Thank you for writing to the show, Joshua.
Kyle, you had another email.
Was I doing the next one?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I was doing the next one. Okay. This one is from Justin. This one's titled Rapid Fire Follow-Ups, because Justin emailed us a while ago and we addressed some of those things. Now he is addressing our addressments. First off, see attached. No more freeloading Patreon episodes for me. Just put the previous 5 or 6 months on my tab. Josh has Justin, I should say. Justin admitted that he was not paying his Patreon bill, and he has now caught up. He's paying again. He included the receipt, and his credit card number for everyone is joking. No credit card information there, unfortunately. Justin, thank you for jumping back on the Patreon bandwagon. We appreciate that. Second off, yes, you should definitely see Fire of Love. I think we didn't know if this is called Fire of Love or Fire in Love or what kind of preposition was going between there.
I don't remember.
This is a volcano movie?
This is the volcano movie, yes. The archival footage is incredible, but you should also check out Fire and Love sometimes. I have no idea what it's about or even if it's a real movie, but I bet it's still good.
I just watched a movie that you're talking about, the documentary Fire of Love.
Fire of Love, yes.
Right. I watched a Netflix original film that was about an actual volcano, a real life event, a fictionalized version of a real life event where like an actual volcano exploded and people were like on the volcano when it happened. The volcano was like a tourist attraction somewhere. I forget exactly where, but
Maybe
it was
Mount St. Helens.
It was pretty wild. It was not Mount St. Helens. I would remember that name. It's some other one.
Guys, is it not crazy that volcanoes exist?
Is it
Like, that's an
crazy?
insane thing.
I think it's
No,
It's crazy.
it makes
geology.
sense. Yeah, it's we got,
No.
we got a bunch of magma, and it's gotta get out somewhere.
There are mountains that randomly spew molten rock.
It's not random.
It is random, isn't it? You can predict it.
I don't think it's predictable in the sense of there are signs it's going to happen. Maybe you can't predict when it's going to happen in like over eons, but you can say, hey, in like a month or so, I think that's going to erupt.
Gotcha.
I
So
think
you
it's-
actually blame those people James was talking about for being on the volcano.
Yeah, I mean, you look at Mount St. Helens; they were told to get off the mountain. They stayed on the mountain.
They knew that was going to blow for a month?
Oh, for months because of
Really?
earthquakes. Yeah, there's both earthquakes and there was a bulge forming. Like, that's what's crazy to me, was there was like a boil forming in Mount St. Helens as the pressure was building.
Did I say that movie was fictionalized? It's another documentary. I don't know why I said that. It's
Okay.
literally a documentary about a bunch of tourists who go on an active volcano, which is being marketed as a tourist attraction, and then the thing explodes. And it's like mostly in the moment footage. Anyway, I wouldn't say it was good, but it was interesting if you want to see. If you want to see, I mean, it was fine. It was a Netflix.
That's because you're
documentary.
not in. That's because you're not in awe by the power of volcanoes. You just think it's geology.
I'm just saying it's a
It's
Netflix
nature.
documentary, and like I'd say 90% of those feel very like, I don't know, cookie cutter at this
Mass-produced.
point. Yeah. And then you got that 10% that are really good. I'm not sure it's at that 10%, but it's in the 70 or 60 percentile of Netflix documentaries. So, Kyle, there's a thirdly.
There's a thirdly. I also just want to say I don't blame victims of volcano disasters. I'm not trying to victim shame them.
Thank you.
Fair enough.
I wish you'd led the episode with that disclaimer.
I mean,
disclaimer: Kyle does not blame the victims for dying during volcano disasters.
for the record, neither
Yep.
does the documentary I watched. They blamed
Okay, good.
the tourism companies for like
Right,
not
for-
warning them enough that this was actually a dangerous thing to do.
Correct. Yeah.
So.
All right. Thirdly, writes Justin, another movie I'd highly recommend is Bones and All. Recent release in theaters, should be hitting paid VOD in a couple of weeks. A beautiful yet haunting story from the director of Call Me By Your Name about young love with a, wait for it, cannibalistic twist. I'm going to say that this movie stars Timothée Chalamet, who I don't care for. I'm probably going to avoid this movie.
Why don't you care for him?
I don't think he's a good actor. I
Really?
think he's good at looking. He is interesting looking, and that's why he's being cast in things, because he just has a unique face. But I have yet to see anything from Timothée Chalamet that has blown me away of like, oh, he is the next big thing. Yeah, he's in everything.
I mean, I don't 100% disagree with that. I think he's good in as like a supporting character in a bunch of things. He's not the reason why I like those things, but he's good in them.
He had a small role in 8th grade
He
for one of
did.
those coming of age movies.
Lady Bird, maybe
He
is
was
what you're
Lady
thinking
Bird.
about. Yeah.
Lady
That's
Bird.
it. That's as much Timothée Chalamet as I want in a movie.
He was
Did you see Little Women?
yeah, Little Women. He was good in that.
Yeah, that was too much of the Chalamet. What wasn't there one where they like teamed up? He was playing a weird character in one movie in the last couple of years.
I don't know, but you disliked him in Dune?
He was not the reason I watched Dune. There was so much better things going on. I mean, he's playing the main character, unfortunately, but everyone else in Dune is better than Timothée Chalamet.
Call Me By Your Name?
I did not care for Call Me By Your Name.
I mean, I didn't either, but he's not bad in it.
Yeah,
he's
but-
not a
but that-
bad actor. He might be overhyped. Maybe that's what you're
Yeah.
reacting to, Kyle, is the hype more than the actor himself.
I just
Do you,
like I
do you
said,
find
he-
him attractive?
yeah, beautiful. No, No, I think he has an interesting looking face, hence why he's being cast. Like, he's definitely a unique looking person. I wouldn't say that Timothée Chalamet looks like other people.
Fair enough.
I don't know. I'm gonna try and figure out that he played a weirdo in a movie. I'm gonna figure that out. But I'm gonna first go on. Have either of you guys seen Bones and All yet, though?
I have.
I feel like James, you might have seen it. Okay.
I did see it. I don't really remember what I thought about it, but we can pull up my Letterboxd review and I'll happily read it for you.
Please.
Here we go. Bones and All, watched December 16th, 2022. Probably 20 minutes too long, but overall, a subtle romantic road trip yarn with a touch of genre to keep things interesting. Can't wait to sink my teeth into it again on rewatch.
Couldn't help yourself.
Wow.
Good job.
14 likes. 3.5 stars.
3.5 stars.
As much as I liked Babylon.
Can I guys tell you my Donner Party fun fact?
Absolutely.
I know your Donner Party fun fact.
Oh, yeah, I tweeted it out.
It's
So
okay.
the Donner Party, you guys know what the Donner Party is,
Hey,
right?
what's up,
'Cause
party people?
Everyone knows about the Donner Party?
Yes.
Yes.
Did you know that Abraham Lincoln was super good friends with one of the people that went on the Donner Party, and he was supposed to go?
Really?
Yeah. Abraham Lincoln almost went as a part of the Donner Party.
What would American history look like if Abraham Lincoln was on the Donner Party?
I think very different.
Yeah, I think so.
Who did he beat to win presidency?
Was it a Johnson or a Jackson?
I don't think it was a Jackson.
Okay.
And Johnson was his VP, so I don't know. Okay. We know nothing about history.
No.
We know nothing.
And Bones and All, if you're into Timothée Chalamet, check it out.
He also was in Don't Look Up, and I liked his role in Don't Look Up.
Really, I don't like anything or remember anything from that movie.
He was like this
Agreed.
weird stoner in that movie. And I was just like, all right, here's Timothée Chalamet. Maybe he takes himself too seriously. Maybe that's why I don't like him.
You talk like you know him.
No, I'm just giving off what is the public persona that he gives off.
All right.
Didn't he like wear like an open coat to the Oscars without a shirt on or something?
Yeah, I think
He wore some.
he's like a trendy young guy who wears clothes that are like a little androgynous, and
Which is
he's a risk taker.
It was more the I don't care for the youths.
Do you like Harry Styles?
I don't think Harry Styles is a good actor at all.
Well, we weren't asking
nothing
you
wrong-
if you
I
thought
have
he was a
nothing
good
wrong with Harry
actor.
I have nothing wrong with Harry Styles, the performer, and yeah, like I also know he dresses in more androgynous. Like
Mhm.
we're not trying to get into the how doesn't like people dress androgynously and flamboyantly. That's not that is not the path we're going down because that's not the truth. I just don't like Timothée Chalamet,
All right.
so I try to find reasons to not like him.
Fair enough.
And
Sure.
not wearing a shirt to the Oscars is one of those reasons.
Yeah. Okay.
All right,
But when J-Lo
fourthly-
does it, it's fine.
we this email. Fourthly, I am definitely Team Kyle regarding his take on Hugh Jackman's character in The Prestige. I think each time he pulled the lever, the consciousness.
We should say spoilers for The Prestige.
Yes, spoilers for The Prestige, by the way.
Well, not technically spoilers because he's about to say Kyle's misinformed opinion of what happened, so we don't actually spoil anything for the real movie.
James, could you please insert contrarian alert over Zach right now? Just flashing. All right. I think he, as in Hugh Jackman, I think each time he pulled a lever, the consciousness/soul of that Hugh Jackman, the lever puller, would alternate between the two potential outcomes. Sometimes the current Hugh would end up metaphysically transported into the new one, and other times he would end up in the box, and and other times he would end up in the box, and that would be the end of the line of that version. Maybe the Hugh at the end of the film somehow sensed this process. Maybe he had jumped consciousness a couple times already, and that's why he said that. Each time he pulled the lever, he wasn't sure if his mind would be transported or stay and drown in the box. Either way, I like your discussion of this interpretation. I definitely share Kyle's, though.
Can you give us a refresher about what you think is happening at the end of that
what
movie?
the argument is? I don't really
Yes.
remember what the argument is.
And I haven't actually found the quotes in IMDb. So I'm going to give you my refresher, and then you guys are going to discuss, and I'm going to read you the quote from the IMDb quote section.
Please.
So at some point, Hugh Jackman's character, every show, a clone is created. And one clone is transported and ends up in the balcony, and one clone gets drowned. And we can discuss why drown the clones. I think we discussed that already. And the argument was, is the Hugh Jackman who's on stage, is his consciousness always the one that's being drowned? Or is there some weird consciousness switching going on? And Zach, you argued that no, the one that's on stage always drowns, and the one that appears in the balcony is always the new one. And I argued that it kind of jumps around, and we're not sure. And this is based on the fact that Hugh Jackman himself has this line about, each night I do the show, I don't know if I'm going to be in the box or on the balcony. Is that a good summation of argument?
Yeah, I would say so. I would just add one little nuance to what you said my position was, in that you said the new one is the one on the balcony. I think both the person in the box and the person on the balcony would think of themselves as like a fully conscious, fleshed person with a whole life history.
Yeah.
Like the one in the balcony doesn't think like, oh, I've only existed for 2 seconds and I don't know how to read, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so here is the line. This is at the end of the movie. And this is Hugh Jackman saying it. It took courage. It took courage to climb into that machine every night, not knowing if I'd be the man in the box or the prestige. The prestige being as in the man on the balcony.
In the balcony.
Do you want to see what it cost me? You didn't see where you are. Did you? Look. And then they go on about other things. But that's the key line right there. It took courage to climb into that machine every night, not knowing if I'd be the man in the box or the prestige. So I interpret that as him being like, sometimes he climbs in the box and ends up, and that whatever that body's memory or that consciousness ends up in the tank, drowned. And sometimes he climbs in the box and then walks on the balcony, and he can't explain why. It's why he can't explain that phenomenon.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
The times in your theory, the times that his consciousness, he's the man in the box that gets drowned, right?
Yeah.
So his consciousness, like he's the man in the drowning, and he dies. So has that line of consciousness ended, and so now the balcony guy, it's not on the same family tree consciousness wise?
I don't see. Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question, because obviously the balcony guy has all the same memories. It's not a brand new clone that knows nothing.
Right.
I wonder if he remembers drowning, if that's what this is talking about, and like he remembers what it's like to drown. So he doesn't know if he's going to go through that again, or if he's going to.
So I would say he definitely does not remember drowning, because the cloning happens before he drowns.
Before the drowning.
So
okay.
That's where their memories diverge.
Yep, fair. I agree. Yeah.
Or maybe he's saying, I don't know if the reason why it's brave, or what's the word he uses in the quote?
It took courage.
Right.
Courage to climb into that.
Maybe it takes courage because you can't guarantee that this is going to work the way it worked before. So you don't know if your outcome is you're drowning and that's the end of it and there is no prestige, or it's going to work the way it's worked before and I'm going to end up on the balcony.
Yeah. Like, what if this is the one time that it doesn't work and all I do is just drown?
Right.
I don't actually show up somewhere else.
That's the courage. Not, am I going to be one or the other? It's that this might not work and I don't get a clone and I don't continue.
Right. Because he's using a machine he doesn't understand.
Right.
He knows the outcome. He doesn't know the why behind it.
Right. Because of the movie.
Yeah. I think, James, I could agree with your interpretation of the courage is not, will I drown or live? It's, will this be the end of me or not? Will this work?
or continue working?
Well, I have a couple things to say. I continued to email with Justin Eddy after he sent this in.
Wait, that's some subterfuge right there.
No, to find out what his position was, because he was pretty much Team Kyle. He was like, I'm Team Kyle all the way. And I said, well, that's silly because Kyle's opinion on this is wild.
I love how you guys had this discussion without my defense whatsoever. Like, hey, let me convince you
in private.
In private, while Kyle's ridiculous. So that way, when
Zach,
we discuss
you're on the most transparent
throw
podcast.
it in his face.
No, hold on. I had 100% access to as much of your opinion on this as he did because he listened to everything we said. We didn't cut anything out.
Yeah.
Also, he was Team Kyle. And so as a team member, he was able to continue the discussion. Right? Because he felt the same way. So
my
do you
proxy,
not trust Justin? No. Yeah.
No,
do you
I
not
trust Justin. I don't
Justin
trust
as your
you.
surrogate? What do you mean trust me? I merely talked about how you presented your position.
You merely made an argument in a vacuum without here's a one-sided argument.
Well, I will say just right now live on the show, you did completely change your opinion, right? Like James convinced you that he wasn't like switching consciousnesses every 2 or 3 times, but that maybe he was just scared it would not work one day. Like that's a very different interpretation.
Yeah, but that's James's, so that's why I'm gonna agree with it.
But you
a couple things happened in this email exchange.
Okay.
One is Justin I think is Team James, honestly.
Okay. I'll accept that over Team Zach.
Justin was very much like, I think what he is afraid of is that for the day that it'll stop working. And that that's where the courage takes over. So he was very much saying that. And then he also said at the end of their email exchange, let me respond to your latest email by saying, I agree with everything you're saying.
Wow.
And I really want to know if what Kyle thinks on this. So I'm glad you were able to clarify your position.
And what a disloyal listener Justin has become.
No, he's still on Team Kyle because you're both on Team James.
That's right, we're both on Team James. So we're on Team James now.
So very loyal here.
I'm excited. My team's getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah, nice job,
absolutely.
James. Yeah. Just really quick, Joshua, please write into the email right now, or email the show right now. Let us know what part of your commute you're in. How many car trips it takes to get through this one. I really want to know. All right, fifthly and finally of this rapid fire email. Merry Christmas. Been listening since your first Top 100 episode. Still love the show. Never a dull moment, even when you spend the first 30 minutes of each episode down a rabbit hole about weather or something else. Great stuff. Love always 1989. Justin.
How are these emails so connected to each other? That's hilarious.
Is there a common theme that we're happening here?
It's almost like they're all listening to the same podcast.
Yeah, he loves it.
Yeah.
He says love always 1989.
Yeah. Zach, are you reading this next? No, James, you're reading this next email.
I do. This next email is from Andy. Andy sent us an email titled Mumblecore List, and he writes, hey guys, in hopes of getting Kyle to try some more Mumblecore films. I agree. It's a bad name for a filmmaking style. I went and found a Letterboxd list I started some time ago. It's definitely not a definitive list, not even a 100% sure all are Mumblecore. For this list, I use the I know it when I see it type definition. Good enough to define obscenity by a Supreme Court justice. It's good enough for a Letterboxd list. I think it would be great if you all picked one, or one for each other, or play a game to decide who watches what, and then discuss on an episode down the road. Anyway, enough rambling. I have to get back to making a list of the last 10 films I watched, ranked in order of how much I liked them. Still working on a name for that list. And then he leaves a link to his Letterboxd Mumblecore list, which we will link in the show notes if anybody wants to check it out. I'm popping this open, and I'll let you know that on his list of 20 movies, Mumblecore related, I have watched 11.
I have seen 6 of these movies.
Okay. Zach?
Wow. I've seen 3.
Wow.
Oh, apparently Zach is not the mumblecore head of the group.
I wasn't even on the Mumblecore episode. We guys had this conversation.
Which 3 have you seen, Zach?
I've seen The One I Love, which is
Yep.
awesome.
Yep.
Safety Not Guaranteed, which is fine.
Mhm.
And Cyrus, which is fine.
I mean, the puffy chair isn't even on this list. And that's
Yeah.
solidly a mumblecore movie. So
I've seen the puffy chair.
there is definitely more mumblecore movies than this that I know Zach has seen. For sure.
for sure. I'm a fan of the genre.
I mean, I've only seen the ones that people say are good. And I know there's a lot of them.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
I can't say that I'm a fan. I also don't fully think all of the movies on this list are mumblecore, but you could maybe say made by people who were known for mumblecore. Like The One I Love is not a
Okay.
mumblecore movie. It's a movie that's definitely specifically scripted and shot and edited in a very specific way. But it's made by people from the mumblecore movement, and so it gets lumped in there, but I don't think it is. And
Has anyone seen Cha Cha Real Smooth?
I've seen Cha Cha Real Smooth.
so have I.
How is it?
Good. I like
Yeah.
it.
It's good. It's okay.
I want to see it.
Would you like
I
to
wanna
hear
see
my one sentence letterbox review? The most complicated porn plot ever conceived.
Okay. What does that mean?
I don't remember
to
the
see the
details
movie.
of the movie, to be honest. Do you remember it, Kyle?
I do. Yes.
Here's
Do you want to hear my review?
I
I'll
do.
give you the first sentence of my review for Cha Cha Real Smooth. Not the whole thing, just the first sentence. You can tell Cha Cha Real Smooth is an indie comedy since the poster is yellow.
Kyle, we are really good at letterbox reviews. Like, they have nothing to do with anything anybody would understand when they read it.
Because when I write like a 4-paragraph in-depth review, like 3 people like it, and then I write something stupid like it's indie comedy because yellow, and then I get 20 likes or something like that. So,
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I find the same thing. If you write
Right.
really long, detailed things, you don't get much love. But if you write something snarky and short, people
Right.
like it.
No one rewards my well thought out opinions. They just want my hot take.
Sure. Is there anything else on this list that maybe you haven't seen, but you actually do want to see? Like, you've heard of it.
Yeah. Obvious Child is a movie that's been on my watch list for a while.
That's a good one.
I like Jenny Slate.
Also,
It's
not
under
a
90 minutes. I don't know
mumblecore
why I
movie.
keep not watching it. It's not mumblecore.
It's certainly got people in it that are associated with the mumblecore movement, and definitely a movie you should watch. Obvious Child was on my top 20 in the year that it came out, maybe even top 10. I don't remember. So it's definitely
All
one
right.
you should check out. But I don't know. I would argue that maybe it's not mumblecore.
So Andy asked, maybe we can make a game or pick one or something like that.
Mhm.
How about you guys give me like what is a mumblecore essential movie, and I will watch it. What is
Puffy
a
chair.
defining
Zach?
movie of the genre?
The puffy chair. The puffy chair.
The puffy chair.
Kyle is going
Okay.
to hate mumblecore if you make him watch the puffy chair, Zach.
Well, no, you can't sanitize it. You have to give me like this is mumblecore, and if I hate this
Oh, hold
movie,
on.
then I hate mumblecore. That's fine.
James, are you suggesting
Uh-huh.
that Kyle has created a belief that he hates mumblecore and is asking us to give him a mumblecore movie and that he won't watch it with an open mind and will just automatically not like it because he's decided he doesn't like mumblecore?
No, I just think
Because if that's what you're suggesting,
I think the
then you're
puffy
correct.
chair is right. The puffy chair is like
it is decided.
it is
I'm gonna hate watch this movie for 85 minutes.
it's not a Kyle
For 45
movie
minutes.
in general. I think he might like Drinking Buddies. Have you seen Drinking Buddies, Zach?
No.
Okay.
Is that
I think you
okay,
would like
but-
Drinking Buddies, and that's a mumblecore movie for sure.
All right. I will watch the puffy chair with an open mind because maybe I have not seen true mumblecore.
Watch Drinking Buddies first, and then
I
watch
watch
Puffy
2
Chair.
mumblecore movies, guys. Come on.
I'm telling you, you like Drinking Buddies just because it's a movie. I think it's a good movie.
Because it's a movie.
No,
The
like
power
I
of
think it's a
cinema.
good movie, whether it's mumblecore or not. Whereas the puffy chair is a good example of like pure mumblecore because it was made for nothing in like a weekend, and it's just two people in a room talking, but with no script. And so it is pure, and it's probably the first time people noticed mumblecore, like meaning like New York types noticed it and started saying that word. But it's, you know, it's not a movie you're going to like.
All right. Well, then I will start off with Drinking Buddies. I got to say, though, it does star Olivia Wilde and Jason Sudeikis, so that's a little awkward.
Oh, interesting.
Sure. There's a couple on here that I want to see. I definitely want to see Laggies. That's an A24 movie that I'm interested in, and the Skeleton Twins.
I like the Skeleton. I was okay on the Skeleton Twins.
You've seen that?
Yeah, I've seen that.
Okay. Yeah, I'm down for both of those. The ones I've seen, real quick: Jeff at Home, Safety Not Guaranteed, Drinking Buddies, one I love on this list. Cha Cha Real Smooth, S House, Adult Beginners, Cyrus, and Obvious Child, and Overnight and Greenberg.
I hated Greenberg.
You did hate that. I own it on DVD, but I haven't seen it.
Don't waste your time.
I did not give it a review, but I did give it 2 stars.
All right.
It's not good. All right. I think we got one more email.
We do.
That Zach's going to read
Troy.
for us.
All right. Troy wrote in and said, Zach, you made a very compelling argument for Last 10 Top 10. And that's all I'll say. Here's my latest.
Would you like to rehash that argument for us, Zach? Would you just want to restate your...
No, I have no desire to. But it sounds like he thought I made a compelling argument. I will point out that the subject line of his email is Last 10 Top 10.
And how many emails did you send to Troy behind our backs about this to get him over to your side?
You know what? I'm a little offended that you think that I would. Zero.
Well, but you do.
But you did.
What do you mean? No.
You can't pretend like you'd never do that when you literally admitted to it on this episode.
The behind the backs thing seems odd because I admitted to it, right? You generally hide behind the backs. I do engage with fans, yes.
Yes, but by the way, we're going to read this email. Me and this fan had some extra conversation, so now it's in the open. I'm like, well, it was behind our back at the moment. I'm just saying, this fan emailed the show.
Can we not call them fans? How about listeners?
Okay, so I was just using Zach's nomenclature.
Sure,
of
I
fans
understand.
Here, so, yeah.
What are they, haters?
I don't know, it feels weird.
Oh, they may be by the time this is over. So,
that's behind your back. That's hilarious. So, okay, so when they email the show, it would be inappropriate for one of us to email them back.
At least CC the rest of us.
You can email whoever you want, Zach.
No, we're saying some ground rules now.
No.
You have to CC the rest of us. That's hilarious. I will also point out that Troy does flip back and forth his subject lines every time he sends an email from Last 10 Top 10 to Top 10 Last 10.
Do you think that's conscious?
Yeah, I think so.
Interesting.
I think Troy knows what he's doing.
He wants to keep this conversation going.
Well, all I know, the latest information I have is that he thinks I made a very compelling argument for Last 10 Top 10. Okay, his number 10, his least favorite, he gave 2.5 stars. That was Akira from 88. So it's all uphill from there. His top 4 favorites with Argentina 1985 got 4.5 stars.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen that yet, James?
No.
4.5 stars. It's a excellent historical movie. All Quiet on the Western Front got 4.5 stars. Stutz got 4.5 stars. That's a documentary. Have you seen that, James?
No, I can't bring myself to watch it.
What's it about?
What does he say about it?
I'm not sure just how great of a documentary this might be on its own, but the content of what was talked about was so good, which is what I base my rating on. So many things hit home for me.
I mean, it's Jonah Hill's documentary about him and his psychologist or therapist. And the documentary is, from what I understand, I haven't seen it, but from what I understand, it's more about like the philosophy of his therapist or psychologist. I don't remember. And so he really likes his therapist, so he made a documentary about it. And I'm sure there's more to it. I'm sure there's something to glean from it, and it's fairly well rated in general. So I'm probably minimizing everything good about it. But in my brain, I haven't sat down to watch 2 hours of love thrown at a therapist, which I'm sure there's more to it than that, but that's all I know of it going in.
Even just looking at the trailer while you're talking about it makes me interested, because it's shot in like really cool black and white. And it's about Jonah Hill, like in his own personal life, dealing with anxiety attacks.
That's another reason why I don't want to watch it.
I'm interested.
The black and white. It's like, come on.
Oh, really?
It's a documentary with a bunch of talking heads, and you're going to take away even more of the visual interest? No, thanks.
Sometimes modern black and white is a plus for me.
I mean, sure, if
It
it's
looks so cool.
You know, what's that movie with the oh man, the movie from last year that was very visually interesting was in black and white, and it was based on a play.
Mank.
No.
Macbeth.
Yes.
Oh, the tragedy of Macbeth.
The
Yes.
tragedy of Macbeth was great, and it was in black and white. This is a therapist talking into a documentary camera. And why does it need to be black and white?
Denzel could be in the background. You don't know.
You're right. And I'm probably minimizing good things about it. But these are reasons why I haven't hit play yet.
Good point, Kyle.
Just saying.
And his number one favorite movie in his less than top 10 is Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio. Wow, 5 stars. I am so looking forward to watching this again. If it doesn't win Best Animated Feature at the Oscars, we riot. People keep talking about this movie. Why does anyone care about a Pinocchio movie?
My parents saw it.
Okay.
They recommended it to me. They said that it is not the Disney version of the tale,
Okay.
and that it is some groundbreaking stop animation.
I think
Okay.
I'm not shading your parents, but if you've only seen certain stop motion animation movies, then you think this is groundbreaking. But if you've kept up with what stop motion animation has done in the last 10 years, it's an obvious progression, not like a giant
Sounds
leap.
like you are shading.
I'm not shading them. I'm just
for
saying.
not watching movies in the last 10 years.
I saw the movie, Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio, and it's definitely not your Disney version of Pinocchio. It's your Guillermo del Toro version of Pinocchio. It's got Nazis in it. Don't remember that from the original Pinocchio. Not only the Disney one, but like the actual story of Pinocchio was well before Nazis, right?
Yes, I believe so.
Right. So he's taking
probably
liberties.
concurrent with Nazis.
I would say. What?
Concurrent with the original Pinocchio story.
Right.
Yes.
Was well before
Oh,
Nazis.
yeah,
So, you're not going to see your mama's Disney version coming out of Del Toro. That's for sure. I don't know. I gave it 3.5. I'll read my Letterboxd review for you if you want me to, but if there's already been enough of that, I'm fine with that too.
I only want the first sentence.
All right. More Del Toro than the Pinocchio I know, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. 3.5 stars.
Okay. Great. Well, thank you, Troy, as always.
Yes, and thank you everyone for sending us an email. We appreciate you sending us those our way. We're also getting emails from listeners regarding their top 20 lists of 2022. And so we didn't go over those this time. Some of those will be in our hangover episode, which is kind of our wrap-up episode for 2022. Included in that episode will be a listener aggregate of top 10, top 20 lists from listeners. So if you'd like to get in, have your say on the direction of that list, then make a top 10 list or a top 20 list of movies that came out in 2022 and send it to us via email heyguys at cinereelists.com. And we'll make sure that you get included in that listener list. Thank you in general for listening to us for this episode 564 of the Cinereelists. We appreciate your listenership. Don't forget, you can always just send us an email in general. You can find the video version of this podcast on YouTube. You can support us on Patreon. You could leave us an Apple Podcast review. Those are all things we'd appreciate from you. You could also follow us on social media on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter at Cinereelists. Or you could follow me on my personal Twitter or Letterboxd account at YoJRB.
You can follow me on Twitter or Letterboxd at Shaban.
You can find me on Letterboxd at Peter SKB.
Don't forget, if you're a podcast listener, wait till the end of the episode. You'll hear spoiler chat for Babylon. Next week, we'll be talking The Menu, which is now streaming on HBO Max. So if you haven't seen that yet, check it out on HBO Max. Do a little pre-watch. We'll see you back here next week to discuss that. Until then, keep it cinereal.
You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go.